Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new around here, my name is Ron, and today we're going to be potting up some propagations. So if you remember, about 11 weeks ago, I created a how to create a propagation box video. And I think they've grown enough roots to be able to be transplanted into soil. So I have a couple of, or not a couple, but I have several pots that I'm going to be transferring them into. I might decide to transfer maybe one or two of them into leca. But yeah, they've been rooting very nicely. I will show you a close-up in just a second, but about 1 month ago, I showed you an update on my houseplant propagation update video. And you might recall that the Philodendron Brazil lost a leaf, but that was the only casualty, I believe. So I think it's all pretty successful. So the plants that I propagated in the propagation box include the Begonia, maculata, wightii, the Philodendron Brazil, some wet sticks of the Monstera adansonii, some cuttings of my Syngonium pictus exotica, as well as those strands of variegated string of hearts, and the baby Syngonium albo. There's quite a bit of growth. The Philodendron Brazil really took off in that propagation box, as well as the Begonia maculata, but the Scindapsus pictus and the Monstera adansonii, I think they spent most of the time trying to root, so you'll see that there's not much leaf growth on those plants. I'm kind of interested to see how the string of hearts is doing because it pushed out a lot of aerial roots. Let's go see what they look like. Is that a good intro or what? All right, so this is where it's been sitting. This is a south-facing window. It doesn't get too much of direct sunlight right now because the sun is directly above us because it is in the middle of summer, but it is getting a lot of bright indirect light. I consider grow lights to be indirect light. So these lights turn on about, or exactly 12 hours every day from sunrise to sunset-ish. But here you can see how full it is with leaves. So let's take a look inside. All right, welcome to the closer look. So I'm just gonna go ahead and open this box. Oh, before I do that, take a look at this. You can see a leaf is trying to escape. So let's just be careful not to injure that little fella. Okay, let me just give you a quick overview, starting with the Philodendron Brazil right here. Look at all those leaves. They're starting to grow bigger leaves than the mother plant actually. You can see how the arrow roots here, they're just spreading out. And then the string of hearts, I don't know if you can tell, but there's just a lot of arrow roots. Some of them are growing towards the soil. And then the strand with all white leaves, I don't know if you can see, but it's continuing to push all white leaves. So hopefully it continues to thrive. And then the Begonia maculata is growing very nicely. I'm also interested to see the roots on the two cuttings here because one of them is a stem cutting and the other one is a leaf cutting, which is down there. I don't see any new leaves coming from that quite yet. The Syngonium albo, it pushed out at least two new leaves here. One of them is this half moon. This one is just about to unfurl, so that one looks healthy as well. And then right in the corner here, behind there somewhere, are the wet sticks of the Monstera adansonii, and those two are pushing out the cutest baby leaves. And then somewhere in the middle of this jungle, this mini jungle, Syndapsus pictus exotica cuttings. I don't see new growth coming out of those either, but let's dig in, literally. First, I'm gonna remove the string of hearts because it is situated on this big tray. Very interesting. So what I think I'm gonna do with this is whenever I see aerial roots growing from the node, I'm just gonna cut the stem just to separate those, and then I'll put those in the new pot with soil so that they will grow into new vines. Similar to how you would propagate this via the butterfly method, but then this obviously already has root development, so hopefully they'll take off. But here's a closer look. Pretty exciting. It might not like a lot of watering, but it does well in high humidity. So there's the variegated string parts. Okay, next, I guess we'll move on to the begonia here. Okay, that was funny. This root right here, I thought it was fish bones. I don't want to disturb the roots because this plant has really tender roots. They're not like those fleshy roots like most plants have. They're very, very, very fine. All right, so this is the leaf cutting. That's what the leaf looks like, where I chopped it right at the petiole, and this is the root growth from that one, which is pretty cool if you ask me. And then this one is the stem cutting. Just gonna try to gently shake off the excess soil. So yeah, that's what this one looks like. There's 3 new leaves that unfurled in the propagation box, and then there's one more along the way, right there. So yeah, that's the begonia. Now let's move on to the Philodendron Brazil. So this one to me was very, very fun to watch, only because of the aerial roots. They're just growing out like a tree right here. Oh, we have another casualty. But this was an original leaf because it was closer to the bottom. And thank you for your service. You've provided all of your energy. Oh, by the way, it seems like the soil in here stayed relatively moist. Not super, super moist, but moist enough throughout the whole duration. And the only time I would add moisture to it would be maybe like once every 2 weeks with a spray bottle. And it would lose a little bit of moisture from time to time because it's not 100% airtight. The lid does close on pretty loosely. Okay, let go. Wow. Oh. Holy cow. Do you see that? I had no idea this root was this long. Look at all that root growth. Just pretty interesting because at this node, we've got 4 or 5 aerial roots growing out. And then this one right here, as soon as it hit the soil, that's where it started to just continue to grow. Look at that. So this just proves that once the aerial roots touch soil, that's where it starts to just take off, right? So cool. And it's got all of these new leaves. I don't even remember, but check it out. I love the variegation on this one. So that's one cutting. Holy cow. Okay, so there were actually 3 cuttings of the Brazil in here, but these 2 have a few roots that like really take advantage of this box here. Okay, we're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to these 2, but so far so good. Moving on to the Syngonium albo here. Okay, this one too has roots that just sprawled out, entangling all the other roots. Are you seeing this right now? It's like it almost kind of like merged with another root. What? Do you guys see this? Oh my god. So this root, that's like 4 feet long. Crazy. Okay, I'm probably gonna trim that off, huh? Yeah, I'll probably trim it off because that's a bit excessive. It's retained all of its original leaves on here. Variegation is still intact. I could technically cut the stem here between these 2 nodes because there are no roots coming out of this node right here. But I'm not gonna risk having an open wound right there that's gonna be prone to rotting. So I'm just gonna leave it as it is. And I'm just gonna trim this root, the super long root. Or I don't know, maybe I'll just leave it in there because it seems to be pretty healthy, right? Okay, so that's the crazy Syngonium albo. Let's see if I'm able to remove the Philodendron Brazil this time. Okay, so this one also has pretty long roots. Literally every node on here has thrown out multiple aerial roots. So that's all good signs. Here are the 2 additional cuttings. We'll come back to this. All right, Scindapsus, pictus, exotica. I believe there were only 2 cuttings in here. So this plant is an example of the type of plant that has juicy roots. Oh, this is so cute. It's got 2 leaves here. There's one on the way. But check out these roots. So this is interesting because it's developed this green color, but that was in the soil. Maybe it turned green because it was at the very bottom where it might have received a little bit of light. But as we know, roots turn, or if you don't know, roots tend to turn green when exposed to light. So it might happen to you if you have propagation sitting in a clear glass jar. And that's not a bad sign because once it turns green, it's then able to absorb light and photosynthesize, creating more energy for the plant. So that's one cutting. Here's the other one. This was the wonky one that had no leaf coming out of this node right here. So I think with this one, I am just gonna chop it up just like that. Oh yeah, there was a tiny sign of new growth right there. So that's the Syngonium pictus exotica. Okay, now I have to fish out the Monstera adansonii. There's one right here. Look how tiny that is. So no roots grew out of this super small node, but for some reason, there is a leaf growing out. Cute. Hopefully that doesn't die though, because we're just removing it from its perfect home of high humidity. This one looks much better. Super cute. It has 2 leaves, the tiniest root system ever. Okay, moving up in size, here's the next one. 2 leaves as well, with more root growth. Here's another node without any roots. And I don't think any action can be seen from this one, although it's still green, so that one might still have a chance. Same with this one. Here's another one that looks like it's got no roots and a tiny, tiny sprout right there. And then these 2 are nearly identical to each other with 1 leaf and 1 root. All right, so that is a total of 9 wet sticks in here of the adansonii. All right, I could probably start new propagations with this existing soil. Okay, so let's pot up the plants. Okay, so the first plant I'm gonna pot up is the Monstera adansonii. I have this, like, what is this? I don't know how big this is. 3-inch pot, I guess. This is the smallest nursery pot that I have because these are very small cuttings. I don't know, you think it might be too small? I assume these are gonna grow really fast, so they're gonna be quickly repotted into an even bigger pot. So right here, I just have some regular potting soil. I'm trying to put the ones with roots in here first, and then I'm just gonna lay the other ones on top. All right, so if you're wondering, this looks like it's just a mixture of regular potting soil with some perlite and cactus mix combined into one. Okay, there we go. You can see that this is where my Transplanting Cuttings was previously in, which I bought for $6 in this 2-inch pot. Okay, I guess it is a 2-inch pot. All right, ta-da! Okay, next plant is the Syngonium albo. This should be relatively easy. I have this really cute concrete planter right here. And I think I'm just gonna keep the entire root here, the 4-foot long root, because it's still healthy. So if you noticed, I am just using this soil straight up. I'm not amending it in any way because one, it does seem to be fast draining. There's a lot of chunky bits in here. And two, I am starting to use liquid earth as my liquid fertilizer, which I did just create a video on how to mix it because there seems to be a lot of confusion on how to do it. But I'm going to use that because you're supposed to be able to use it with every watering, so it's that safe. I'm just expecting to see really good results with that. So I'm not adding worm castings to this. If you're wondering what the brand is of this soil, unless you live in Nevada, Utah, and Arizona, you will not find this sold anywhere else because it's only sold in our star nurseries. But it is Dr. Q's Filthy Gold Rich potting soil, and it's got really good properties. Okay, second plant down. All right, so for the Philodendron Brazil, I am going to combine it with the mother plant here. So as a quick little update, here it is. Look how lush that looks already in this 4-inch pot. It's still in its original pot, but it's already trailing. Got some nice leaves. They're all relatively smaller leaves though. So I'm gonna be upgrading it into this pot right here, which is a bit bigger, but hopefully the leaves will grow bigger from all of that extra space for the roots. So let me just remove the mother plant first. And it's basically root bound. Look at this. The soil mix looks very sandy, or maybe it's because all of the systemic granules that I put in here. When I had that fungus gnat infestation in this room, which I'm happy to report, I believe is 99% taken care of. Now I did end up using mosquito bits, which if you did watch my fungus gnat video and how to get rid of them and the reasons why I was avoiding mosquito bits, I'm actually back, or I had been back on mosquito bits for the past couple of months trying to get rid of them because I was desperate. If you use it by mixing it into water to dissolve the active ingredient and then watering your plants with that, you can have really good results. Just try to not use too much of the bits because that could result in the mold that I was talking about in that video. Okay, I think that's good enough. This is what we have left. Now we can combine our 3 cuttings with the mother plant. All right, and now we're just gonna grab the mother by its neck. The aerial roots that are gonna be above soil will probably dry out because obviously it's not gonna be exposed to the same humidity level outside of the propagation box, but it's gonna have all of these roots beneath the soil to continue to help the plant thrive, so it'll be okay. So just grab everyone by their necks and then we can put them in the pot. Look how lush that looks. Yes. Okay, this is exactly how I pictured this pot to be. Looks really good. And I love how it's like just starting to trail towards this one side, creating this nice waterfall effect. Gorgeous. Yeah, I'm happy with this one. Okay, next plant is the Syngonium pictus exotica, which I want to combine with the mother plant, which I have right here. And I'm gonna have to repot it, but I'm gonna repot it into the same pot. But I also want to reorganize so that all of the trailing vines are facing one direction, because where I have it sitting on the top of the shelf behind me, I want it to trail down towards one side where it faces the window. So that's what I'm gonna do with that. But before I get started, I'm gonna trim the ends off of this because this node here did not successfully root. So I'm just gonna get rid of that. Just like that. And I'm just gonna try to keep the stem above the soil so it doesn't rot. Let me just show you the growth since I did those cuttings. This one was just a bare stem sticking out of the pot where I made the cutting, and it's since pushed out this small leaf right here. Let me just quickly show you the cuttings that I placed in leca. This one I'm gonna leave as a separate pot, but if I just pull this out, you can see all that root growth. So yeah, this one's pretty healthy. Healthy and happy in leca. It has a growth point right here. And there was another one right here. It's like growing through the crack. So yeah, this one's really happy. But like I said, I'm just gonna leave this in leca and then put the 2 propagated cuttings in with the mother plant. So now we can carefully try to remove this from the pot. So what I'm doing now is I'm just using this plastic stake thingy, and I'm just going along the inside edge, and then hopefully everything just falls out. Okay, so there we go. That's what the inside looks like. We're creating a huge mess here. Okay, now I'm holding it so that all the vines are facing one direction. They're all facing you. And I'm putting the root ball in the pot just like that. And then let's bring in the 2 cuttings here. And I'm just gonna put this towards the back here. And I'm gonna train it to grow along with the other vines. It's kind of wonky at first, but it should establish the roots in there firmly over time. And then I can start training it to grow this direction, just like the other vines. So there we go. Okay, so the next plant is the Begonia maculata wightii. At first I wanted to combine this with the mother plant, but I think I'm gonna put it into leca. But let me show you the mother plant and its progress right here. Ooh, it's off the frame. Can you see that? Now it's dropped several leaves along the way, despite all of the crazy new growth that you see on here. For example, right here, here, and here, and there. It's continuously growing, but I don't know, does yours, if you have a plant like this, does yours also drop leaves despite all of the new growth? And is there a way to fix it? Let me know down in the comments, please. But other than that, I think it's a healthy plant. And I just love the combination with this pot right here. So pretty. So yeah, that's the mother plant. So I have this container right here and this pretty white pot with no drainage hole. So it's perfect for this application. But before I do that, I need to rinse the dirt off of these roots, as well as rinsing the leca balls that I'm going to be using. So be right back. Okay, I'm back with the rinsed leca and rinsed cuttings. Let me just show you what the roots look like now. Here it is. As you can see, it's a very fine root system. It's almost like hair-like. Here's the other one. Okay, so this should be fairly simple. I'm just gonna combine this one and this one. Okay, I think that works. It's still a little bit wonky in there, but hopefully when the roots really get settled in there, it'll start to stabilize more. So yeah. Okay, next plant. Okay, so I saved this one for last because I already know this is gonna be super tedious. I don't even know how to start, but essentially what I wanna do is combine all of these with the mother plant right here. And I'm hoping everything fits into, I was gonna try to put it in this pot, but I don't think it's gonna fit. We are gonna try to make it fit because I do want this to be super lush. First, I'm gonna tackle these cuttings here. Okay, you can tell I'm very comfortable with this crisscross applesauce because this is probably gonna take quite a bit of time. Anywhere that I see roots forming, I'm going to separate that because that will essentially become a new vine. Strand by strand is how we're gonna do this. Oh, I should have started with the mother plant in here. Okay, so let's transfer all of these into the pot first, and then we'll go ahead and work with that one. Woo! Okay, that was by far the most difficult repot I ever had to do with a plant. This is what she looks like for now. Some of the longer vines I am letting trail off to the side of the pot. The other ones are kind of just loosely semi-buried under the top soil. I will probably give an update on this one specifically in a few weeks. So just please take root and grow, okay? Because you are gonna be so full. Well, that's about it for this video, guys. That was so time consuming. We have a total of 6 plants that I repotted today, with the most time consuming one being the variegated string of hearts. I will probably never do that again. Everything else was pretty much easy. Hopefully everyone here will be happy, and all I need to do now is water them. So I don't know, they're gonna have to find new homes somewhere on the shelf. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet already, plant scribe. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.